Welcome to the 2013 Aloha Clinic training videos, Helmet Hit Plays. And this is probably the one that we're going to talk the most about and may have some disagreements as to where we're going with the direction of this in football at all levels. I know the NFL is talking about calling infractions against an offensive player who's in the open field and initiates contact with the crown of his helmet. And the NCAA has enacted a helmet contact foul that incorporates an automatic disqualification. And the National Federation has always had the flagrant foul definition in their rule book. And I think we're going to expand on some of those topics this year and try to determine what would be considered flagrant and what would not as it relates to the videos that we're seeing. Now, the videos you're watching during this introduction do not coincide with the introduction. They're just there for your entertainment while we're discussing a few important things prior to getting into our actual 2013 training videos. The first thing we need to do is we need to get uniform terminology. And what I mean by that is if you think about the term launch or the term target, I think those are becoming pretty widely acceptable terminology, even though the exact language isn't in every rule book. But a launch is basically what it sounds like. It's a player whose momentum is in an upward direction and he launches off the ground and the contact results in a high contact on an opponent, a defenseless player, doesn't have to be a ball carrier, and resulting in a personal foul. In the NCAA, that results in an automatic ejection. In high school, we have to try to determine intent, and I think launch is probably the easiest one. Then we came up with a term called an upward thrust, and that's basically a launch without leaving the ground. You're in an upward momentum. Maybe you lower your head and put it into a guy's chin, and the resulting force of that contact is in an upward direction. The other one might be a strike, where someone takes an arm or an elbow and uses that at a high velocity to create some form of helmet contact. And the oldest one in the book is the spear, or the dropping of the crown of the helmet. And that contact doesn't have to be against another player's helmet. It can be anywhere and still result in a foul. Some of the things that might lead us to believe there wasn't a foul is a player that goes in with his head up, has clear vision of the play, or his head to the side. Another indicator that a player is really trying to just make a good tackle is if he wraps the player up or he gets his arms around him. And it doesn't matter whether they're off the ground or on the ground. If he's going up to make a justifiable wrap-up tackle, there may be some incidental helmet contact that we would not consider a foul. And the other one would be is that if at the last second, maybe this happens more in the open field, the runner instinctively crouches or braces for impact, and as a result his position change results in some helmet contact, and that may be considered a foul against the offense or the defense. But I think most times it's just a instinctive position change or a compressed visibility or target change that will create an atmosphere where you're going to get some helmet contact that may not be a foul. So let's go ahead and look at some of these things as we go through this video. I also want to go over quickly the terminology used in the National Federation rule book that gives you guidelines for what would be a flagrant foul. Okay, straight out of the National Federation book, under the flagrant foul definitions, we must diligently observe the action and watch for players who are contacted illegally that are deemed defenseless. And here's some examples of that. Quarterback not participating or in the act of throwing the ball. Kicker in the act of kicking or off balance. Contact on a receiver unrelated to the act of catching, and that means the defender going to catch the ball. Or a receiver who's relaxed after missing a ball. Kick receivers in position to catch a ball or have just muffed it, and relaxed, blindside, dead ball, or people who are generally considered out of the play. We as officials must be able to determine what is necessary to make a tackle and what is not on a defenseless player. So let's get into the helmet plays. Play number one is a runner who's going to the ground and a defender alters his attack path so that he can hit that runner just prior to hitting the ground. And because he alters his path, it is his responsibility to keep his shoulder and his helmet off of that runner's helmet. So you can see that the runner is hit by one guy, he's going down. The second defender lowers his helmet and either with his helmet or shoulder hits the runner on the back of the helmet, driving his face into the ground. I don't think it was intentional for him to target or injure that player, but the technique needs to change, and it was correct job by the officiating crew to call that an illegal helmet contact foul. Play number 2, this is a pass over the middle. The receiver's coming back. The defender comes in and he catches him with his right shoulder on the face mask of the receiver number 25, who bobbles it and does a great job of holding on. But the defender, who does everything he probably has been told to do to make a good hit, gets him with the shoulder in the face mask, and you can see the receiver's head spin. So these guys have to get in, make an adjustment to their target zone, and aim lower, anticipate where that receiver's going, because this is going to be called illegal helmet contact, even though it's shoulder to helmet. Play number 3 is a play where illegal helmet contact was called, and in this case I really don't think there's enough there. The running back is twisting and turning, and even though he's going to the ground, so he is a protected defenseless player, the defender doesn't get him with his helmet to helmet, and because of the back turn of the running back, he gets him a little bit on the back of the helmet. But this is one of those categories we're talking about with the position change at the last second. So if somebody can come in and pull him off of this call, that's great. But we're being trained that if we're not sure, we're going to default on the side of illegal helmet contact. So this would be supported. But if anybody on the crew can help out with that and pull him off, that would be okay too. Play number 4 is a spearing call. It was called on the field. It's a correct call. These are kind of difficult to pick up, particularly in that inside line play. But you'll see this defender come in, and at the last second he dips his head down. His first contact is on the running back's face mask, partially as a result of him dipping his head, but the foul is for spearing. He lowers his crown of his helmet, he plants it right into the running back's gut, no regard to getting his head up or to the side. So this is a classic spearing call, correct call. Play number 5 is difficult because there's a lot of moving parts, but there is helmet-to-helmet contact. The runner does not change his position much, and the defender is out there trying to get his head to the side, but he dips it at the last minute and doesn't quite do it. So even though no helmet contact was called on this play, we would definitely support it and encourage it. 24, he needs to lower his target range. I know it's going to be tough, but we have to do it. That runner is not low enough to justify a last-second position change.
Wow, what a nice tackle. Joshua Muaina put his head.
Play number 6, this is a supportable call because the helmet does graze the face mask of the receiver. But there is no launch and there's no upward thrust, and this is probably a good play where the back judge and the line judge should come together and discuss what they saw. Because if the back judge can come in and say, really, that was perfect technique, he came in there with a lateral parallel to the field force, and boy, that tackle looked great. This is one that you can probably help each other off of. Again, supportable because there is slight contact there, but this is a play that we want to communicate on as well. Play number 7 is a true position change play. It was called illegal helmet contact, and like we've said 100 times before the last couple of years, they're all going to be supportable because we're defaulting towards safety. But in this case, you can see the first defender reaches in and pops the ball loose, and that changes everything for the receiver. He's going down to get the ball. The second defender, with every intent of keeping his head low and to the side in front, is just trying to make a tackle, and bracing for impact, the receiver lowers his helmet and actually lowers it into the defender. So this should not be a foul for illegal helmet contact on the defender because he did everything right, and the only reason there's a helmet contact is because The receiver was fumbling the ball, and he crouched his head into the defender. Play number 8, a hit on a defenseless receiver in the helmet was called, so this was a correct illegal helmet contact call. And if we go back to the earlier categories, this is an upward thrust. The defender has his feet grounded, and he comes in though, and he hits him high, an upright defenseless receiver, and he then pushes up. This is one of the ways we determine or put a red flag on a play as to what may or may not be illegal. I don't see a lot of intent out of 7 because he does get his head slightly to the side, but this is a foul nonetheless.
Well, had he put that head down in the chest area, it would have been okay, but he hit him right in the face mask.
Play number 9 and the rest of the videos on this list, I'm putting in my flagrant category, and I will tell you why on each play. This one, the defender, the second defender actually, comes in and he lowers his helmet and actually spears the receiver in the chin before he twists his body off. He also incorporates an upward thrust. So we've got 2 of the red flag categories on this one. I would say this qualifies for a DQ.
Here, the crown of the helmet coming in. Boom. That is a dangerous play. And that's
play number 10. This was called in the game as illegal helmet contact for an arm club to the head. And this falls into the striking category. We've got a defenseless player. He's on the ground already. And this player comes in and gives him that whole shoulder thrust strike with the forearm elbow against the head. This definitely qualifies as a personal foul. I consider this flagrant under some of the definitions that the National Federation has for flagrant fouls and grounds for disqualification.
After the play, personal foul, defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, results in a foul, first down.
Well,
play number 11 is a peel back block, and a really quite a violent one, like most of them are. What makes this, in my opinion, a flagrant foul is because it has those same 2 categories, upward thrust and spear. So it was a great job by the officiating crew to pick this up. I think a wonderful call. But now we have to determine, is this flagrant? And I think so. He's got him lined up. He's got a clear shot at him. He can hit him anywhere he wants. He can choose his position. But when you look at it from here, you can see a violent head twist on a couple of different replays. And to me, that's enough for a disqualification under the flagrant guidelines.
This is a point of emphasis in high school football.
Play number 12, this is another hit on a receiver, and you're going to start to see a pattern here as to what I consider categorized as flagrant. We've got a defender who lowers his helmet. Crown of the helmet is the first thing that hits the receiver in the face, and he has an upward thrust. We haven't seen many launches. I think we got most of that out of the game, but we're seeing an upward thrust with a spear combination, so I consider this flagrant and grounds for disqualification.
you can't lead with your helmet. You can lead with your shoulder, but the crown of the helmet cannot be in play, and that is an illegal helmet-to-helmet